Hello. The Divine Code reading for November 20th, pages 331 and 332. We are in the chapter, The Precepts Pertaining to a Fetus and to Eggs. Topic number 4. If an animal dies or is killed, it is permitted to eat its lifeless fetus that is found inside. If, however, the fetus is still alive, it is forbidden to eat from the detached limb or piece of the meat from the live fetus until it is killed. Otherwise, one would be violating Abraham Mackay. So if the animal is slaughtered or if it's killed by roadkill or something, the animal's dead, the mother's dead. The fetus inside of the mother is still alive. Well, at that point, it's no longer the reason a fetus is not normally under Abraham Mackay is because it is connected with the mother, and therefore it has a separate ruling concerning it doesn't have the same kind of ruling. But when the mother's dead, then it would have a ruling similar to if the animal was just independent, because at that point the animal is independent, the mother's dead. In this situation, if the fetus was carried for a full gestation and therefore is viable, it is a living animal and one is liable. That would be a court full-on Torah prohibition for eating Abraham Mackay. If the fetus is not carried a full term, it is not considered viable, and though it is forbidden to cut and eat Abraham Mackay from it, it is not liable. One is not liable for it. So the mother cow is slaughtered or dies somehow. There's a fetus inside. If the fetus is viable, that means it could be taken out from the womb and it would live. Then it has a full status of a living animal. If it does not have that capacity, it would still be forbidden to eat the limb of a living animal, but it's not the same level of liability. If a Jew performs kosher slaughter on the mother animal, and a Gentile who eats the flesh from a living fetus found in its womb that had gone through the full gestation period is not liable, but one is forbidden to do so. So in the case of a kosher slaughter, the kosher slaughter is considered the killing of the animal. Therefore, even though the fetus inside might be liable, it's already gone through this kosher slaughter. And therefore the fetus itself is no longer in the full category of limb of a living animal. But it would still be forbidden to do so because it theoretically, the animal could be taken out of the womb and it could be raised. It's already viable. So it would not be a Torah prohibition at that point, but it still should not be done. That the fetus should also be slaughtered if they're planning to eat the fetus, or they can raise it. Now there is an interesting question that's not mentioned here, is if they were to take that fetus out and raise it, the mother was kosher slaughtered, would it still have the same requirements of, because it's already been slaughtered by Jewish law, but yet it's alive. Therefore, how would these laws apply? That's within the Jewish halakhic. It's their theoretical questions that they ask. But it's interesting questions. But it's not really under the, it's not something the Divine Code would deal with. But they are interesting questions. It's a whole question if they had two of these animals, could they breed them and make a whole herd of animals that have a different halakhic status? So it's curious questions. But here, if it's a kosher slaughter, the animal is technically dead, but yet it's still alive. Therefore, a Gentile should wait till the fetus is actually dead before eating it. And that was discussed earlier concerning an animal that was slaughtered by a Jew and still in its death throes. Pre-Megiddim Sifridat 13:3 expresses doubt as to whether a fetus taken out of a kosher slaughtered mother's womb is governed by all the laws of Abraham Achai for Gentiles, or if the kosher slaughter of the mother permits the fetus to be eaten after the fetus is killed in any manner, even by severing its limbs while it's still alive. This would apply only if it was done by an act of slaughtering, by removing a major limb that will cause immediate death of the fetus. And that was discussed earlier in an earlier chapter. It appears to the author, that's the author of the Divine Code, that such a fetus is forbidden to be eaten by Gentiles as Abraham Achai until it dies or is killed. Regardless, for Gentiles to live, a live animal is always has the prohibition of Abraham Achai. Particularly, the argument is not regarding the whole fetus, since in any case it isn't permitted to be eaten alive, but the pieces cut or torn off the fetus. According to the lenient side of the Pre-Megillan's doubt, these are permitted for Gentiles since the mother's kosher slaughter included the fetus inside of it as kosher meat. According to the other side of this doubt and the author's opinion, the mother's kosher slaughter has no effect on the fetus for Gentiles. Therefore, as long as the fetus is alive in any way, other living, as long as the fetus is alive, it is like any other living mammal and is governed by the law of Abraham Achai, as discussed in earlier footnotes. So, according to the author of the Divine Code, the fetus, if it's still alive, would be still governed under the laws of limb of a living animal. It would be considered, especially if it's viable, it would be considered just another animal and has to be treated properly like another animal. There's a doubt about this, and therefore, because of the doubt, it would not be a liability in a court of law, but it would still be forbidden, and it might be forbidden by Torah law. Therefore, the person definitely should not do it. But so if the fetus is alive, then it has to be treated like another animal. Topic number 5. An animal that was delivered alive by cesarean section after a full period of gestation is considered as a living animal. With regard to the prohibition of Abraham Achai, an animal born by cesarean section is considered just as one that emerged by regular birth. And it must die naturally or be killed if meat is to be removed from it for consumption. Any meat severed from an offspring after its delivery by cesarean section, before it is killed or dies, is considered to have been severed from a living animal. So, assuming that it's a viable animal, which if it's not viable, then it's a different category, but it's delivered by cesarean section. For whatever reason, the veterinarians are doing this. If there's a medical emergency and they take the animal out before it's viable, that might be a different scenario. But if it was taken out, there's a difficulty with the animal giving regular birth and it's taken out by cesarean section while it's viable, when it's okay, then that animal is governed by the laws concerning limb of a living animal. Topic number 6. If the head of a living fetus, emerges from the mother's body, the mother is considered to having given birth to a live baby. It is not necessary for the entire head to emerge. As long as the frontal head emerges, the part that is seen when looking straight on at the animal, it is considered as having been born alive. Shokanork, Taz, Shak, and Shak, Eurydeia, chapter 14. So they're talking about I know there's animals, different types of animals, different types of mammals. The head will come out in different ways. So here it's saying when the face, or not really the face, the part of the animal that is seen when looked at from the front. So if you look at a cow or a horse or whatever it is you're looking at from the front, that's the part of the head that would have to emerge from the womb in order for it to be considered born, to have the status of being born. At that point, it becomes an independent entity from its mother, even if it retracted its head into the mother's womb. And it is forbidden to cut from it a limb or meat while it is alive. Even if one cut off meat from part of the live fetus that is still inside the mother's womb after the majority of its forehead emerged and left it in the mother's womb, regardless of whether the mother is alive or not, the meat remains forbidden and is considered as if it was removed from a living animal. Shokanork Eurydeia, chapter 14. So the animal is the mother's giving birth to the fetus, to the animal, to the fowl, whatever it is. The mother's giving birth. The front of the face emerges as it would be seen, the front of whatever would be seen if you look at the animal from the front. And from that point, even if it went back into the womb, or if somebody somehow reached around and cut off a leg or something and left it in the womb, once the animal has reached that stage, it's fully in the status of a living animal, and anything removed from it would be considered limb from a living animal, even parts of the animal that might still be in the womb. If the fetus dies in the mother's womb after it had retracted its head, so this is a very difficult birth. So something's wrong. It starts to its head comes out of the womb, and then it retracts it, and then the animal dies inside the mother's womb. So after it dies, it appears that it's permitted to cut pieces from it and take them out while the mother is still alive. And surely one may remove the whole body and eat the pieces. There is no prohibition of Abram and Mackay in this case. It is forbidden to cut a dead fetus from the mother's womb, as was explained in an earlier chapter, because it looks like the removal of Abram and Mackay. However, when the animal is partially born and retracted its head, It is considered independently an unslaughtered carcass and is not the mother's flesh. And it does not have any prohibition of Abraham Mackay. So there might be, and this would be a rabbinic fence, that because it might look like a person is removing pieces of the animal while it's still alive, even though it's dead. The fetus is dead. The mother's still alive, that the fetus is dead. If the person was removing pieces out, it would look like they're taking the limbs off the living animal, if someone else saw them doing it. So it might be prohibited for that reason, but because the fetus had died after it was separated from the mother, once it is removed, once the front of the head comes out of the womb, even if it goes back in, a person could cut the pieces off. They should be cautious in case someone else is watching, that a person doesn't think that they're cutting up the limb of a living animal. But otherwise, it would be permitted. Thank you.